International war criminals are safe from arrest in the UK, but a leading lawyer plans to change that. We're going to read into this more from Byline Times, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from Byline Times with the headline that international war criminals are safe from arrest in the UK, but a leading lawyer plans to change that. Helena Kennedy KC is set to introduce a bill to the House of Lords that those suspected of atrocities can be arrested in Britain. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share this across social media so others are notified of this video. So, the very fact, this kind of really boggles my mind that we could be having international war criminals here in the UK. But then a part of me thinks, are we surprised? Are we surprised that we have some international war criminals, thanks to certain loopholes and certain things that are making it safe, making it okay so that they can't be arrested here in the UK? Are we surprised by this? I don't think some of us are, to be fair. I can see someone in the comments typing now that we have an international war criminal. They're in number 10, which might be a bit exaggerating, of course. But I'm interested to see what she's going to say in this piece here, because while we do have, unfortunately, we do have some from other nations abroad. There are obviously going to be mixed reactions to how certain people, depending on what their actions are. I would say each case is a case-by-case basis. Now, obviously, some of them, if they've committed acts of genocide, for example, then obviously I would be absolutely furious that somebody living in Britain committed acts of genocide in another nation, and certain loopholes or whatever can't mean they can't be deported back to their country and face the crimes for their actions, for example. I think there may be some cases for that. So, yeah, interesting to say the least. Let's read a bit into this so we can get our heads around this a bit more. So, a British human rights lawyer has warned international war criminals are free to visit the UK without fear of arrest as she announces plans to close the loophole. So, Helena Kennedy KC, if I said her name wrong, I apologise. A genocide expert and Labour peer said British authorities are powerless to arrest or prosecute visitors suspected of crimes for which outrage are common humanity. Anyone suspected of genocide, war crime or torture is subject to universal jurisdiction under international law, meaning they can be arrested in any country for which has agreed to the principles, regardless of where they are suspected of having committed those atrocities. Domestic law limits that to people who either have British citizenship or resides here, which really narrows it down, Kennedy told Byline Times in an exclusive interview. Interesting. So, because they have some of them may have British citizenships or reside here. Apparently, it's a bit different. Apparently, there's a bit of tinkering to the international law binding than what they're kind of saying here, which is a bit interesting. On the 22nd of March, Kennedy will reintroduce the Genocide, Prevention and Response Bill to the House of Lords, which aims to widen the scope of that law. Currently, if a general who has been involved in war crimes in Ukraine came into Heathrow Airport, we wouldn't be able to do anything about it, she explained, noting the UK has only prosecuted 3 people via universal jurisdiction in the last 20 years. Why only 3? You have to change that and make the legislation much wider. You have to say if you come through Britain, you'll be arrested. Yeah, they should be. So, Kennedy argues it would be an easy change and would help deliver justice to victims across the world. It would get you people to run those Utah camps in China. They might come here because they do not want their children to go to university, or they might come for a graduation. We'd be able to arrest them, she said. Changing the law would keep the UK in steps with the US, which has changed its rules last year under the Justice for Victims of War Crimes Act. So the US has changed this, apparently. Kennedy's bill has also called for Mass Atrocity Prevention Hub, a unit in the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, the FCDO, to be expanded. The unit, which was established in September 2022, monitors and tracks perpetrators of series of crimes across the world. but according to documents published in January 2023, has just 3 full-time staff. The FCDO declined to provide up-to-date staff numbers or details what funding it received. Expanding the unit, Kennedy will argue that in her bill reading would enable the UK to keep track of developments abroad to see a genocidal intent before people are targeted. Those signs, she argued, are very recognisable and can be traced back to how the Nazis treated democratic institutions and victims of the Holocaust before the genocide started. They go after the judges, they go after the lawyers, they go after the media. Jewish people couldn't be professionals. They weren't allowed to hold down most jobs. It started with them stripping people of their professional qualifications, Kennedy explained. By working alongside the War Crimes Unit inside the police, the unit could monitor developments abroad to see if somebody suspected of carrying out genocide was on their way to the UK, or if a people were threatened with genocide. Kennedy argues that a better resourced team could have seen the first signs of genocidal intent in China with the treatment of the Uyghurs, sorry if I can't say that word properly, Uyghurs, and acted. I think they would have been able to say some years back something is going on here. They started throwing folks in jail. They started banning men from having bread. In 2022, the UK government described the human rights abuse in Xinjiang against the Muslim Uyghur people as absolutely horrific. At the time, estimates suggest up to 1 million Uyghur Muslims were being held in concentration camps in the region and subjected to re-education programs. The bill could also deliver justice to people whose cases have never been heard, such as women in the Congo who were subjected to mass rape for more than 20 years ago, and at the scores of Yazidi women who were subjugated to war crimes by the ISIL. For example, Germany has prosecuted some of the ISIL perpetrators who have gone back to their country for genocide. We've not done that, Kennedy said. She expects her Labour Party, currently in the polls by a double-digit margin, to take note, as well as the Conservatives. The FCDO pointed Byline Times to the Ministry of Justice, MOJ, for comment. At the time of publication, the MOJ has not responded. Interesting, to say the least, that many countries and many nations have it, but we don't. But she's obviously someone out to catch those who have passed through this country, may have connections to those who have taken part in these war crimes and genocides in other international nations, who are wanted and should be captured. And I think it's quite shocking that there are some who have passed through our country, passed through the UK overall, and no action's been taken. It's quite shocking, actually, to say the least. I think that they're able to get through, and I think it's crazy. I actually think it's crazy. I think it really, really is that we could be potentially holding war criminals living in our country. And whether they have a British citizenship or not is irrelevant. If they have committed these atrocities, they should face justice for them. It's as simple as that. So I welcome what Helena is going to introduce. I really, really do, and I hope it gets through. Whether it will or not is another thing. But I'm kind of actually but I will say I'm a bit more optimistic, because the future Prime Minister, which could be Sir Keir Starmer, obviously someone who is a lawyer and has quite a greater degree of history, will certainly be interested in a case like this, in a bill like this especially. So I do have I'm a bit optimistic with a Labour government obviously really wanting to introduce something like this, and especially on the fact that she's also a Labour peer as well. So those are two bonuses to add to that as well. But what do you guys think? What do you make of the fact that we may have international, or we do have international war criminals here in the UK, and we just don't know about them, or maybe they're not always reported? Some of them obviously may or may not have committed acts of genocide as well from other nations that we don't know about. Does it make you sick to your stomach knowing that they haven't been arrested and they haven't faced justice for their actions? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think about this bill and her and other and whatnot in the comment section down below. If you found this video informative, please hit the like button, we greatly appreciate it. Share it across social media so others are notified of this video, and subscribe, because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further and financially support me and the work I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content there as well. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope to catch you all very, very soon.